The Tribal Chief has returned to the table. What did he have to say tonight? The next two matchups in the U.S. title tournament, and what is the status of damage control? All that and more on tonight's Friday Night Smackdown review. Let's get to it. Woo! Yo everyone, how's it going? It's Friday night. You know what time it is. It's time for a Friday Night Smackdown review. Tonight's Smackdown came from Green Bay. And oh, wait a minute. AJ Styles is back. What the hell? Where the hell did that come from? Yep, AJ Styles returns at the end of the show tonight to help out LA Knight and Randy Orton against the Bloodline, and then attacks LA Knight in a very odd way to end that. But yeah, AJ Styles is back. That was a part of the main event, which it was Randy Orton versus Big Jim. Big Jim. And that was the big shock was the AJ Styles return. I kind of had, to be honest, forgot. I mean, I don't want to say forgot, but I just kind of, well, I guess kind of forgot that AJ Styles was on the SmackDown roster. And I think all the times we've been having these conversations about who are the big guys on the roster, I think we left AJ Styles out a few times. and forgot that a few months ago he got, it seems like a few months ago now, I think it has been about 2 months or so since he got attacked by the Bloodline backstage, and it wrote him off TV, and haven't really seen anything, very little mentions of him. And then here he comes right at the end of this whole main event segment to come back. So adding AJ Styles to the mix here in the Bloodline story is an interesting wrinkle, especially when he just attacks LA Knight for what to me seems like no reason. I couldn't quite think of a reason as to why he would attack him. But but AJ Styles is back in the fold here, and he looks fantastic. He looks like he definitely was doing in the weight room during his time off, because he looked, I don't know, feel free to tell me he doesn't, but I thought he looked really fantastic. But yeah, so we'll start there. What do you think about AJ Styles coming back to SmackDown tonight?
I mean, this was amazing for me, because I think this is the first time in like 3 or 4 live shows that I truly did not see this coming at all. Like, I didn't expect AJ to be there, and it was leaked, I think, a little bit earlier in the day that he was going to be there. I just like checked a little while ago. So AJ was supposed to be there. You're right. You're 100% right. He looks fantastic right now. This guy, you know, he's one of the older wrestlers on the roster at this point, but he doesn't look it, and he doesn't move like it, at least from what we saw in the ring. Now the heel turn. I thought it was a heel turn for sure, because look at his look, right? He's like all black right now. He's not really in any kind of color. But the reason I say that too is he attacks a face, right? All I can say about this is I don't get it, but I love it. I literally do not know what to expect from AJ Styles going forward. I will say that I don't think he wants to wait in line behind LA Knight. I don't think he wants to wait behind Randy Orton. I think he wants a piece of the Bloodline, and I don't think he wants to wait behind them for a title shot. I think that's probably the only explanation I can give anybody as to why attack LA Knight, right? Because, you know, LA Knight thinks he's first in line for Roman, where Randy is there kind of at the same point. And AJ's like, I didn't come out to help you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for me. And I got problems with Roman, but don't get it twisted for a second. I'm not here to help any of you guys.
True.
Really, really cool, like, little spot there at the very end. I was excited. I think it was kind of funny because, like, Roman's, like, super confused, and AJ just gets out of the ring and walks right past him after he just attacked him in the ring, and they just let him walk past. So, I mean, it was really cool spot right there. Really awkward, but really cool. I don't get it, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm on that same boat too. It's intriguing because now I want to know why, right? And that's kind of the point sometimes, is to get you to kind of feel like, Well, the only way you can find out why is by find out why is watching next week, right? So definitely tuning in. Not that I wasn't already, but it makes you want to pulls you into well, why did he do it exactly? Feel free to
I think that's
correct.
the question on everybody's not
Feel free.
on
Feel free
everybody's
to
mind right now.
feel free to correct me on this. But the last time we saw AJ Styles was he got attacked backstage, and that's what wrote him off. But I'm trying to remember in the back of my mind, was it because he was supposed to be a teammate of somebody?
I think so.
Do
I
you
think he
remember?
was
Do you remember who that person
tagging
was?
against. I think he was tagging against Solo and
But who was he
was
tagging
his,
with? Was it LA Knight? Or I don't know. I'm not sure LA Knight was a part of the Bloodline story at that point yet,
no.
right? Who was it? Who was the person that uh Carl Anderson tells? Oh, it was John Cena. That's right.
That's right. It was
That's
John
right.
Cena.
It was John
Yeah,
Cena.
yeah.
Because I remember.
So John Cena had to fight in the ring by himself
Yes,
afterwards.
because I remember, and I remember he. That's where LA Knight comes out.
That's
and
where
it
LA Knight
actually
came in. Yeah.
is John C. He takes the place of AJ Styles. So I don't know. Maybe it's like you said. Maybe this is AJ Styles saying like, "Oh, well, you're just gonna go and take my spot when when I had that spot and I not gotten hurt, or that would have been my spot. You want to come in and take and try to take my spot." So I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Attack the guy that attack the guy that maybe you feel took your spot. Because I mean, at that point, once LA Knight took that spot, I mean, his stock went all the way up as high as it could go, and AJ Styles was put on the shelf. So everybody kind of forgot about AJ Styles, and we're all about LA Knight. So this is a good way to play into the story then.
I like this because AJ's gonna do this as a heel, and right now LA Knight is a really hot face, right?
Well,
so AJ kind of playing that heel, playing it up, coming out in the all black uniform. I thought was a really nice touch. I was blown away because I've only seen AJ as a face for so long, and he got so boring in that space. So seeing him like hit somebody from behind was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I literally was excited right there because I totally did not expect it, didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about AJ Styles heel turn and how potentially good that could be. The last time I believe he was heel was it had to have been maybe 2016, 2017 when he was having that run.
Unless you count the almost thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was like a weird heel.
But it was like he was he was playing chicken shit heel half the time to his son almost.
He had the muscle with him.
But a true AJ Styles heel turn could actually end up being a really, really cool and a really, really good thing, and especially for him. And especially for SmackDown, because as we've discussed before, SmackDown is seriously lacking in true big star heels. They have plenty of faces, but they don't really have any big time star heels. Not to say anything about Solo and Jimmy. They are really, really good heels, but we're talking like big name on the level of Roman Reigns type of heels, right? AJ Styles would fit that mold right away. And when you'd be able to have programs with some of the, like, I hadn't even really thought what a LA Knight versus AJ Styles program would look like. And it looks like we could be getting that, which now I'm intrigued. Now I'm intrigued to possibly see that
dream matchup.
Now I'm like, now it changes my whole view on where you go with a guy like LA Knight for going into WrestleMania season. Now you have some options, right? I'm not sure that I don't think they'll drag it on that long, but you have options now, right? Especially with AJ, like Randy versus AJ. You have all kinds of options now, and
there's so many moving parts right now, right? There's like the landscape has changed with all these wrestlers coming back at the same time,
and as evident, he didn't do it because he wants to be a part of the bloodline. He just did it because he's about AJ Styles. It's about him. It's not about anybody else, right? That's why he makes the attack, stares at Randy for a second, takes off, stares down the bloodline for just a second, and walks right past him. It's like it's about AJ Styles now. I think that's the direction that we're going here, and I like that. If that's where they're
I
going
like
with
it.
it, I like it. We'll see how it goes from there. But what set
We're
off
gonna get
this
some bangers of a
what
matches with him.
that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm glad to see him back. He looks in fantastic shape, and he can still go, man. He can still go with the best of them. Some people have soured. I want to say soured on him, but have been like you kind of said, like you're either I want to say bored of him, but like just the same thing over and over and over, and you kind of just unfortunately he got lost in a shuffle for a bit there. But this is a good way to get him out of that shuffle and to make him important again on this roster that sorely needs good top heels. So we'll see where they go with it. I'm intrigued.
We
But how do
we
we get?
sorely need a
Yeah,
CM Punk AJ Styles match pretty soon.
I mean, now the
I think
possibilities
we
are
deserve it.
endless here now. Like with AJ Styles back in the fold, like you just said, I'll piggyback off of that for a minute. Everybody returning in like this short amount of time is just all of a sudden like it's almost like poetry in motion. I mean, it's the perfect time. I mean, it couldn't be the more perfect time right before Royal Rumble season or right before WrestleMania season, right? I mean, you got this roster is stacked, dude. Like it's insanely stacked. And if you play all of these cards and pieces right, you're gonna have we're gonna have a couple of really really good stories to tell in the next couple of months, and they don't all have to be linear, into one thing. They can all be their own separate stories. And I think the product is 10 times not to say anything's wrong with having, one linear big story to kind of carry you through things, but I think we're at the point where the roster's at and everything like that you don't have to have everything doesn't have to intertwine with one big story. You can have these separate stories and make them feel big time. And I think we're at that point with the way the roster's set up to be able to start doing those things. And I'll be interested to see how that wall works out. But it's exciting. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
very, very nice. So how do we get here, though? So we had the main event, which was Randy Orton versus Big Jim. The main event itself, the match itself, I
I'm calling
thought
him that.
that's a Big Jim, man. That's Big Jim. Uh, the main event itself was pretty short, right? I mean, I thought it had one commercial break in between. It was about 10 minutes probably.
Was it? I felt like it was longer than that. I
Was it
mean, there was
longer
some
than
good
that?
work.
It was a really
Maybe
good
about
work.
15.
Yeah, I think it was more like 15. I did have one commercial break in the middle, but didn't really take you out of it. A lot of nice looking spots here. Jimmy
Hmm.
has really come into his own as a solo competitor, and
No, no pun.
yeah, and I do like his mannerisms in the ring and everything, but his work is still pretty good. But it does kind of mirror Jay a little bit in the sense that they still don't have their own individual move set, if that makes sense. Like to distinctly say this is my solo wrestler move set
Hmm.
and not my tag team wrestler
Hmm.
move set. I don't know if they'll eventually get to that, but either way, I mean, great in the ring. Randy Orton still looks great. Randy Orton does his usual Randy Orton style of a match, a little bit slow, but more methodical. Still hits on all his cues though, and then of course RKO out of nowhere after a attempt at a interference by Solo Sikoa gets Dante gets excuse me gets cut off by LA Knight, and then which leads to the RKO, I guess, out of nowhere, and the 1 2 3 for Randy, a clean I'm gonna say a clean win. It was a little more distraction, but good win for Randy. Another loss for another Uso. At some point, I do feel like these Usos got to get some victories on their own. But I don't think this one. This is one of those ones where I don't think it comes at the cost of Jimmy's rise or anything like that. I think it worked out. I don't think you needed Jimmy to win here, but at some point you need to have him beat somebody. But good main event match. Of course, it sets up the angle that the beatdown, the whole bloodline comes out. Roman comes out. There was a 3-on-2 beatdown, and then you get the AJ Styles music and the phenomenal forearm. But the match itself, I thought was pretty good main event match. I liked it. I think those two guys worked very well together. What did you think about it? Did you like it?
I I love this match.
Mm-hmm.
I see Randy Orton come out a little bit less energy, but like you said, a little bit more focused, right? More methodical about the way he's coming into the ring. You almost see like the old Randy Orton kind of seeping back into his character. Really good match. I honestly, Jimmy sells the hell out of this match. I mean, he really does. Like he knows he's got it all up now as a solo performer, except that he doesn't have his individual moveset. I will agree with Eric. But what he doesn't have in his moveset, he is making up for his like in-ring work, right? The way he connects to the audience, right? The way I mean, even his entrance, little things, right? Like the camera's on him. He knows the camera's on him. And he pretends like he's gonna go like shake a fan's hand, and then he pulls his hand away, and he's like like saying stuff. He's just playing this character, and it's so interesting. It's so intriguing. You're
Yeah.
right. He doesn't need to get wins yet, but when he gets geared up for some kind of a title run, which I assume is going to happen because he is a really hot character and he's connecting with a lot of people right now just because he's hella funny. He will have to start getting some wins. But the cool thing right now is that we don't have to focus on that yet because we have so many wrestlers coming back. And Jimmy's such a great worker that he can, like you said, he's one of the few heels. He can basically work with anybody right now and put on what looks like an amazing show. And he'll give us plenty of laughable moments in between. He's relatively safe. There was a one spot where, like, I guess Randy went over the top, and I was like, "Oh God, he's gonna hurt his knee, right?" Like he kind of actually pulled at his knee, and for a little while there, he was nursing it. Hopefully, it's just a work. But we've seen a lot of wrestlers get hurt lately after going over the top rope, and I'm like, please don't throw Randy's old ass over the top rope ever again. Like, Randy does not do stuff like this, but still really, really good match.
Oh yeah.
Solo coming in and then getting jumped by basically LA Knight. LA Knight's just kind of standing there. I don't know if LA Knight has a crush on Randy Orton right now or something, but he's just there, watching out for good old Randy and I guess wanting to get into his good graces. And then, he gets a Superman punch for all his efforts, right? by Roman, who's like, I mean, you're talking about these names, right? Like, look, it just gets better and better, right? It's already good with Randy and Jimmy in the ring. Then you got Solo coming out, who's for better or for worse, he's here. He's arrived, right? And then you got LA Knight coming out. Then you finally get the Tribal Chief coming out, and because for me, he's still at the top of the food chain, right?
Oh
He's
yeah.
the champion.
Oh yeah.
And then after all of that, you get AJ Styles coming out in his new kind of heel turn gimmick,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what a time to be a wrestling fan right now when you see all these potential matchups, right? Just the anticipation of Randy and Roman. Is this the first time that they're gonna actually have a singles match for a title? I don't know if you know that off the top of your head, but
I can't.
maybe not since he's been Tribal Chief, right?
Well, no. Not in this run. I can't remember specifically if there was any other times during his other runs, from 2015 to 2020 where he shifted into the Tribal Chief character. I don't remember if there was any Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns programs. If they were, it was short lived, and it wasn't really anything that was rememberable because I don't remember it. But they were plan. This was the plan 18 months ago. This was where they were headed to do that match before Randy Orton had to go on the shelf and get that back surgery. That's where they were headed, and now it looks like we're gonna finally get there. And I'm looking forward to that first big title. I mean, that's a big title match regardless of who wins it. It's big. It's big time, right? It's big ticket stuff. That's what you're looking for on these things. But yeah, good stuff from these two guys out there. But yeah, like you said, it's more about how big this roster all of a sudden is getting at the top, which is what you were hoping for, right? And how just awesome it is to have. I mean, every single one of these guys that gets pumped out, there's a crowd reaction right away, which is what you want. You want either it's a good one or a bad one, right? You want big time pops. You want big time everything. That's what you're getting. Everything's hitting on all cylinders all of a sudden, and it's really going to lead to some pretty cool things. I hope. On Jimmy, it's kind of crazy because Jimmy and Jay, as far as their trajectory is concerned, on their solo runs, are almost identical. As far as they have everybody in the palm of their hands when it comes to their characters, right? Whatever it is that Jay's doing, it's working with the fans and everything. He's got them in the palm of their hands, right? For what he's doing on this side, and you got Jimmy over here that has all the fans on and whatnot on his palm, in the palm of his hands for what he's doing in a different way. They're very similar in that respect that they got all the tools there. The only thing they don't have is the wins. But I think that'll come later, like you said. But it's really, really crazy, and I think this is a great way to, make them go head to head, because they're working so well on their own. I'm glad to see. I'm happy to see it. That for both of them, it seems to be working out. That splitting them up was a good idea. Because for a while you were like, you dread that, right? They've been together for so long. They were so good in that storyline together that you were just hoping that separating them wouldn't derail either one of them. And actually, it's elevated both of them. For better or for worse, it's elevated both of them. For their own,
I didn't see that happening.
For their own sake. It may have brought down the Bloodline storyline a little bit, but it's elevated both of them individually, which is exactly what you're hoping for if the goal is to get them both to WrestleMania against each other. It goes back to what I said. Now you have individual stories that can work out all in different sectors, and it'll make for great television when that time comes. But that was the main event of the show. We get it. So we go to the start of the show, which kind of was the catalyst for all this, was Tribal Chief coming back to TV for the first time since Crown Jewel and doing his normal Roman entrance. He likes the pyro too. Him and Cody really are the two guys on that pyro budget, I think, because nobody else really uses it other than those two guys. But always good to see the Roman entrance, and we're here for in-ring promo. Roman says his usual stuff to start off, but then it gets interesting because we find out this is about a promotion within the Bloodline. A promotion, okay. Starts talking about a certain person that's about to be promoted here in the Bloodline. And in the background, I just watching. This is where Jimmy's so good. You're watching him like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get that promotion, baby. Like I've been doing so good, even though like in reality, I mean, he is the guy that left and then came back, and then and he's been kind of fucking up a lot, So, but he's still there, cocky as shit. Like, nah, I've been in this family way longer than this dude than my brother over here. I'm ready for this. And Roman gives the promotion, the heir apparent to the tribe is Solo. It's the real first big acknowledgement that, no pun intended, I guess pun intended, of Roman saying this is the heir apparent to the throne, giving that to Solo. They hug it out while Jimmy in the background looks kind of dejected that he didn't get that. But before we can get into more details of that, Randy Orton interrupts, and you had the first face-to-face of Roman and Randy in 18 months since they took him out 18 months ago. And that's where this promo was pretty much circled on, was Randy Orton talking to Roman about what these last 18 months have been for him and how he's here to cash in on those 18 months, challenging him to a Royal Rumble match for the title, in which Roman says in short words, I mean, we can go longer into this, but no, you don't deserve this for being gone 18 months. This ain't 2007 anymore. You go to the back of the line and you earn your title shot. I don't just give them away. Like, I don't know who you think you are, Randy Orton, but I don't just give title shots away. So I thought that was pretty. I mean, Roman's this character's still good.
That's so good.
Roman as this character still is so good, and the way that he talks and things that he says and his mannerisms, it always it's just when you think it's fizzling out a little bit, he brings you back in, and that's just I love that. It makes me laugh,
Yeah.
dude. I'm laughing my ass off at like half the things that he's saying.
I've been
And
loving all of Randy's promos lately,
and
right?
that,
So
yeah,
I was like worried because Roman's been off TV for a while and he's
yeah,
lost a little bit of steam. And Randy comes in and I'm like, shit, dude, Randy's not gonna mess up on his promo, right? So he comes out, he starts saying, I've been thinking about you and this and
yeah.
this and that. I've thought about you a lot. And Roman says, well, I didn't think about you at all.
I think about you at all. Like
I
you
didn't,
been go-
I didn't think anything about you. Like you're not even a thought in my head and stuff. And he's like, Randy, this isn't 2007. He's like, I'm levels above you now.
yeah,
And I was like, my goodness. I mean, Roman killed this promo when I was a little worried. I was shaking a little bit to
yeah,
wonder, like, can he keep up with Randy right now? Because Randy's and then I kind of shifted my worry of like, shit, what the hell's Randy gonna say now? Because Roman's sort of like different now. He's just now ever since he took over. And I thought it was funny because did you catch when Randy called him the big dog? And I was like, no, dumbass, he's the tribal chief now, man. Like he's not the. That's
yeah.
what
The big dog days are long gone.
Yeah, and that's why I thought Roman was like, it's not 2007 anymore or whatever. But it's just too funny. Randy doesn't miss a beat though.
Oh
Even
no, not
after
at
that,
all.
doesn't miss a beat. Talks, he doesn't deliver it. Well, he delivered the Legend Killer kind of transparent, right? Like he kind of telegraphed the Legend Killer thing.
Yeah,
But the other parts beyond that,
that
Daddy's back and everything
the
else.
the ending parts of my things on that promo were this was a really really good face to face promo for the first time of these guys in 18 months. Everything was good. The Legend Killer line was, I think it hit pretty good. I liked it. The last part, the part
Was
where
the
the part
best.
where he goes for the RKO, right? The fake out RKO, which then when Roman goes away. The crap your pants line, that was a good one.
Crap your
I like
pants
that one.
line.
I think the boys are telling me I think you just crapped your pants. That got a pop out of the crowd. That got a laugh out of me. I think if I'm being honest, though, I think you're on the same boat with me here. That's where I think it should have ended, right? Like
Yeah.
like mic drop.
Yeah.
But he had to get that because they're gonna put it on a T-shirt or something, or they're trying to make this his one of his newer catchphrases. One more thing, Daddy's home. I feel like that was really forced. It felt like it was forced.
Mhm.
I felt like he didn't have to say that, but I guess if you're gonna turn it into a T-shirt and merchandise it, he has to say it.
Depending on what they do with this, it's like the tribal chief, right? Like the way they went from the
Yeah.
big dog to the tribal chief.
Yeah.
Randy could become daddy, right?
just daddy.
He's old enough to do it now.
He is, right?
And so, like, if he plays up this daddy thing, I think it can be really like big. I think he can, like, because he's the daddy of the WWE right now.
Yeah.
I mean, both in stature and his height and everything else, and his age and his longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is daddy now, right? He's
Yeah.
embracing that role. So I think that they're trying to rebuild it, but Randy probably needs to figure out how to incorporate that a little bit more naturally, I think, in the future. So, but for better or for worse, it was a great promo. I think it was a great way to start the show.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's that I had to go. I went back and watched it because I missed that part, but I went back and watched it in its entirety, and I was like, oh man, this was a good promo. This was good. Like this had me wanting this match whenever it happens. Hopefully, it does happen at the Rumble, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to further one-on-one, on the mic and whatnot. And then now, not to go too much on a tangent again about it, but man, if you get all those guys we talked about at the beginning of the show on the mic in a promo, I mean, good Lord, there's just the promo work you can get from all those guys in these programs. Oh God, we're gonna have some really, really good stuff coming, I think. But this promo hit right out the park. It was a good one. It was a good way to start the show. And then it led to our first match of the night, which was Grayson Waller versus Carmelo Hayes. It's the third match of the first round of the U.S. title tournament, and I actually kind of like this because it happened in both of the matches, you had that little Logan Paul, like where he actually is like
Yes.
talking shit
Yes.
about the competitors, and mostly just the faces. like
Hogan is
talking
working it, and he's doing a good job.
like talking shit about the faces and praising the heels and that in this tournament. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, that was kind of cool. That was kind of neat little wrinkle there. And
So
but the
natural for him too, right? Like his shit
yeah,
talking is just so
yeah, he's
natural.
just
Like
well, that's what he is, and that's what he's good at. So I mean, play into it,
he's a
and
promoter. He
yeah,
promotes
exactly.
fight, right?
He promotes his stuff. So there you go.
Dude,
Uh,
he's relentless on Kevin Owens, man,
oh,
and
bad.
I'm just my guy, dude. He
And so,
just tears into him. So
and so we get into this match, and these guys have gone at it a couple of times while they were both in NXT, and they've had really really good matches in NXT. And this one, I feel like it started off a little slow. It was a little clunky to start, but I think it picked up, especially um, after the commercial break. I think there was a commercial break in between this match.
there was.
There was. So after the commercial break, it definitely picked up hot, and you had a couple of really really impressive high spots by both guys. I enjoyed the springboard DDT. That was a cool move. The Grayson Waller that when he rolls in, kind of that rolling move from the outside, is always a clean looking move. The counter, and then the counter into the nothing but net looked really nice too. That's how Carmelo Hayes wins this match with the nothing but net. That's a good looking move. I like that. It's very unorthodox, but I like it. He sets it up with I forgot what is he. It's a code breaker, but that's his setup move to get into the nothing but net. But I don't remember. I remember what it's called. But I like that. It's a good setup, right? The code breaker, and then you go right into the ropes, and then hit the nothing but net. And Carmelo Hayes has a place here on this main roster. I think it's about that time. He's got some things he needs to work on, obviously, but I think it's time to really, really move him on from NXT. There's just not very much he can do over there anymore. But I think he could do some great things here on the main roster. I'll tell you that. But the good thing about this match that I liked and that I was hoping for is it brings out the best in Grayson Waller. I don't know what it is about about Carmelo Hayes, but it just what I told you on the NXT matches. For some reason, he brings out the best in Grayson Waller. That Grayson Waller you saw tonight is the one that I was hoping that you would get every week when he moved to the main roster, and you weren't getting that. In my opinion, you weren't getting that. I don't know. It didn't look like he was having very good matches. I mean, yeah, his mic work, it's okay, it's and whatnot, but just Carmelo Hayes brings out the best in Grayson Waller, and he looked about as good as I've seen him on the main roster. So this match was really good. I enjoyed it, and I think the right person came out of it as well. What do you have on this?
Okay, so I've seen Carmelo Hayes wrestle before. I've seen him in NXT. Man, how do I say this? The man has the look. I think that with a little bit more refinement, he has the moves. Like, I think the moves are there. They just got to hit clean. I think that's what we see a little bit. Like, even the springboard DDT, it didn't hit clean, so it didn't look perfect. Honestly, I thought that this night was a showcase for Grayson Waller because he fucking wrestled awesome tonight. And he was, I mean, dude, whatever that turnbuckle move that he uses is amazing. It was so good that, like, I think Michael Cole was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I think it was like somebody was like, we don't even know what to call it because
nobody had
it
a
doesn't
name
have
for
a precedent.
It. Yeah, nobody had a name for it. It was just something very. He was also very unorthodox. Like I said, it brings out the best in him. But continue.
Mm-hmm. He's so good now. I think he had a really bad match with Kevin Owens. I think that's what we saw a while back, and that one he botched a bunch of moves. It must have been an off night based off what I'm seeing here. But him and Carmelo, they put on a good match. I think it's a good start for Carmelo. But I will say something. He needs to continue to work on his character because for me personally, I don't connect with him. And I think the crowd doesn't either yet because it still feels like very forced, like he's coming out doing a program. He needs to slow down a little bit and really take in the moment, take in the fans, like work the crowd. He needs to do all those little things that are gonna make everything else seem a little bit more naturally. Because you say the match is a little clunky at times, and it's because of the fact that I think that his I guess amateurness, right, is still showing. I guess from that unsureness, right? I haven't fully arrived yet. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's really weird because he's got the look. Like you can't argue with that. He's got the look. He's probably got the moveset. I do think that the what is it the nothing but net is a pretty nice looking move. I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think it has a good setup. Um, you say that he has a place on this roster, and I think like I'm wondering like where is that, because I don't see him wrestling up with the big boys. I just don't. And you got other guys too that are. I mean, you got like guys like Ricochet that probably can do everything Carmelo Hayes can do and just do it better. I mean, they're just like an amazing athlete, and they don't get any kind of time right now. There's no focus on them. So when you say that he's got a place in the roster, we're looking at maybe something against Logan Paul, most likely, right? Like maybe that's where we're gonna have to go, kind of in that like almost like that like weight division, right? I mean, obviously, right where he's at in this
Yeah.
tournament, right? So I just don't know that I don't know that his personality is there yet, and I don't know that he's over with the crowd yet. So the if he loses next week, I'm not too sure how this plays out for Carmelo Hayes transitioning over to the main roster. I mean, the one thing that Grayson Waller has going for him is the dude is a master on the mic already. He's just a master already, right? I don't see that with Carmelo yet. So, and I know he still has a storyline going back at NXT with the whole like being framed thing, and he's the bad guy and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to go back. I think it's a good chance for him to maybe see if he can transition over. But his character needs some work still. That's just the bottom line of it. His character needs a little bit of work. It needs to catch up to his look, because his look is really freaking excellent. I mean, and this guy can probably join the Street Profits and fit in right away, right? You got From the Heavens, and you got Nothing But Net. Boom, like a tag team move, double jumping off the top rope type of thing and stuff. So there probably will be a place for him sooner or later. I just don't see it yet.
Well, that remains to be seen. I guess we'll see how that goes. I mean, he'll be back on Friday night next week because he won this match. So you'll get another night to showcase him again. I think it's gonna take a little bit of time, but I don't think it's gonna take that much time. But you got to get him on TV, that's for sure. You got to get him in front. You got to get him in front of TV on the main roster, and you got to get him in front of the main roster crowd, and make sure you kind of get people to latch on to him. And that's the best thing you can do right now. But I think the in ring stuff is there, the look is there. Now create a program for him to bring him up hot, and maybe this is definitely a good way to introduce him to people that may not be too familiar with him. And I also did like that even for the casual viewer on TV that may not know who Carmelo Hayes is, if you don't watch NXT, you got a package before this match showcasing the guy, so you can at least know a little bit about him and what you might have to look forward to. And I do like that they, over the last couple of years, they've started doing that with these NXT guys, because for the longest time, some of them would just come and you wouldn't even know like who they were or why they're here, or what they're about, and they wouldn't barely even reference what they did. It's like NXT didn't exist. It's like their NXT career didn't exist. I'm glad that we're past that point where you can address it and you can acknowledge it and you can show the fans this is what they've done in this side, so that you can at least have an idea of what's to come. But young guy, a lot of meat on that bone. We'll see where it goes on there. So
one more time.
Oh yeah. So then we go to match number 2 of the night, which is the second match in the U.S. Of the U.S. title tourney of the night. It's the last first round match. That's Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory. story of the match here is pretty much that story
It's
of the
the
match.
chef's kiss, man.
Story of the match here is Kevin Owens is dealing with that broken hand, which I believe is. I mean, it's hard to tell if it's kayfabe or if it's real. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's kayfabe as fuck. It's kayfabe
You
as
know,
fuck. It's not real at all.
I
Kevin
get,
Owens forgets that his hand is broken here and there.
I guess, especially the way it ends. Yeah, most definitely, right? So these guys worked very well together. I wasn't expecting very much anything less from these two guys. Very, I mean, you got Austin Theory, who's the more athletic, strong guy, and then you got Kevin Owens, who's not the big strong guy, but is super super agile. And I'm always amazed by how agile and athletic
Hmm.
Kevin Owens is for his size and what he can do. That swanton bomb that he does is clean as fuck, and just everything that Kevin Owens gives you is always a plus in my book. And then Austin Theory, this was another one where it was just too good. Like he's had some stinkers, but if you get the right guy
Hmm.
on the other side of the ring with him, it works out. And he was able to showcase too. I thought this was really like
Hmm.
a show of like showcasing a lot of these guys.
Both.
Like, and they had a lot of these guys had good showcase matches, or like ones that have had dragged, you know, sloppy matches in the past. Like tonight, they hit on all cylinders.
Hmm.
And then you had Austin Theory working over the broken hand most of the match. Obviously, even at one point, stepped on his hand on the steps. Which I guess at that point, once that spot happened, yeah, it's definitely kayfabe, because I mean,
Yeah.
if he had a real broken hand, I don't think he would have like actually like tried to step on it. And so then we get into the back part of this match where he's trying to rip off Kevin Owens' cast, which then leads to Kevin Owens to basically just throw a shot to Theory's face with the cast,
With the
and
cast.
that's how he wins. It was almost like a light bulb moment for Kevin Owens. He was like, oh yeah, that might actually work. Cool. Pins him 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens is moving on in the tournament, and one of my things is that this is another cool good match. But one of my things is I've always kind of got tripped out about is what are the rules in wrestling, right? I know this is pro wrestling, and it's the rules are whatever you make them, right? But like if that cast was like not on Kevin Owens' arm, and he uses that in front of the referee, that's a disqualification, right? Like, because he's using a
Hmm.
foreign object. But as long as it's like attached to him, that's like not a foreign object. Like, he can totally just use that if he wants to.
Middle ground, man. Middle ground.
Like, you find that gray
That's gray
area, I
area.
guess.
That's gray area. Yeah.
So I just, that's just me just be like nitpicking on that, and I thought that was just like it's always been kind of funny because it's not the first time it's happened, and it probably won't be the last that a person uses a cast legally, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, they basically played into this to his broken hand through the whole match, and it ended up being the reason he wins. But once again, I think this is the right guy, obviously, because I think Kevin Owens is going to be the winner of this tournament. I think that's what you're headed for. But good stuff there. Once again, before this match, you get another little little talk shit segment from Logan Paul, and yeah,
Logan.
you're right. He really dog shits
Oh man,
on Kevin Owens a
it's so
lot,
good
dude.
though.
That's why I think that's your winner, because that's your pro. That's
That's the winner.
once again, that's another two guys you can put, and you can have fire segments in the ring and on the mic. But
Hmm.
what did you have on this match? You were really excited to talk about this one.
Well, I mean, there's so many good things in this match, right? Let's start
It
with the
is.
promo, right? Logan Paul says that KO looks like a fifth grader that takes dodgeball too serious. And I was like, dude, why is he doing this to him, man? I mean, he's so good at talking trash about KO. Oh man, every single time. Couple of things to call out. I did notice that KO did switch his gear. It looks like the KO is no longer just in white, black and white. He switched it to blue, and I'm guessing he's modernizing his suit. Even the bottom of his wrestling boots are blue, so
Yeah.
he's fully embracing the face of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Um, man, and really quick, is anybody in better shape than Austin Theory, dude? Like, oh my god, I saw the guy's back muscles. They look like freaking mechanical, dude. Like the way they were just, I don't know if it was the light they used or what, but the dude in immaculate shape. We almost forget where he was a year and a half ago. I know he's had some stinkers, right? Like A-Town Down. I know he's had some stinkers there, but you put him in the ring with the right person and he delivers, man. He really impressed the shit out of me tonight. Like, I mean,
right?
some of his moves, man. I think there was like the Spanish fly off the turnbuckle.
Yes, dude,
like
that was an awesome
Spanish.
one.
I was
Yeah.
like, what is that, man? And then there's another move where he jumped over Kevin Owens' head, like straight over, and did like a I don't know, like a reverse, like it was a reverse DDT or something.
Yeah.
Or a neck breaker. It was like a neck breaker, and he just jumps his athleticism, jumps right over Kevin Owens.
It was a stand, which I probably should have said this, but I'm glad you brought it up because that was my most like impressive move of that match was the standing blockbuster. That move,
standing blockbuster. That's what it's called.
That move, the intention of that move, the way that it's like in the book, how you're supposed to execute it, is you sit on the top rope. The opponent is standing in front of you, and that's where you get your leverage to jump over the top and hit that. He did it standing up. That is impressive, dude. That was so impressive.
Super athletic, sells super well, and I just have to say something about KO because, well, if we're being real, I don't know that there is a better wrestler than him. Like, there's better personalities, but when it comes to KO, I think you have to say, like, outside of like maybe AJ Styles, of like Seth Rollins, KO can do it all, man. And I have this statement to say about KO.
Mm-hmm.
KO is the safest wrestler with the riskiest moves. And that's like just true, dude, because his moves, his moveset, his repertoire rivals probably AJ Styles. He has so many moves he can pull out. Did you that Swanton Bomb, right? I think like what was it? Austin Theory was too far. Like he was just too far. I was like, how's he gonna hit that? And freaking Kevin Owens dived forward and hit it, man. And it was a long Swanton Bomb. It wasn't one of those normal distance ones. I mean, he takes really dangerous moves and makes them super safe. I have to say, if we're being completely honest, I think he's probably the best wrestler in the business. He doesn't have the amazing physique that everybody else does, but I kind of wonder to myself too, like, is that, how often do we see Kevin Owens get hurt? Like, he might not be all muscular, but maybe sometimes being super muscular, because we've seen this again and again and again with a lot of wrestlers. When you are super built like Austin Theory, you tend to sustain some injuries, and we're talking like torn quads. We're talking torn pecs. We're talking all kinds of torn muscles. And I just wonder if it's because they're so muscular, they don't have any fat on their body. And the secret to staying healthy is to have this like not super chiseled body the way Kevin Owens has, because he tends to stay a little bit more healthier than everybody else. But I mean, wow, man, what a match. Like I said, it was the chef's kiss. The whole hand promo, the whole hand angle, great. I mean, what can you say, man? These two put a show on. I really do hope we see Austin Theory get another chance at getting back into the big leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's going to take for him to get his character there, because I know that's kind of difficult. He is a heel, so maybe he can get there eventually, because the man is built like a main eventer, and everybody's always talked about he is the future. So I think that this work with KO can help him, I guess you can say just it'll help him get there. But I really do hope Austin Theory makes it back up there at some point, because he just has the look, he has the moveset, he has the athleticism. I mean, we need more people up in that main event spot. So we'll see where it goes from here.
The good thing about Austin Theory is that he's very, very young. I think he just turned 25 this year. But he's got a lot of time left in this business. And if he keeps having matches like that alone is going to eventually get him over in one way or another. And like, Yeah, I mean Kevin Owens is already there. He's already established. But the key is if you can still have a Kevin Owens that's just so good at what he does, but be able to also have another person that can be elevated from that. That's you can't ask for any better outcome than that. That's why it's like I could see this. I could see these two guys fight, once a week for the next 4 weeks, and I'd be happy with it if I'm gonna get that kind of a match every week. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that works well for Austin Theory. There's still things to be worked out on the character side of things. Like, what direction do you want to take his character long term? But they got a lot of time to figure that out. And at least it looks like obviously he gives a shit and he cares.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's already a plus. And so I think hopefully
Mm-hmm.
that pays off for him in the very near future. I wouldn't even necessarily mind if they gave him and Waller a tag team title run. This is why I don't want to go too much on a tangent on it, but this is why I do think sooner than later they have to separate those tag titles. They have to
Mm-hmm.
they have to have one set for Raw and one set for SmackDown so that guys like that, like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, could have a run with some titles on them and they could be cocky as shit with those titles, and at the same time having good matches against guys like the Street Profits and guys like Pretty Deadly and and some of the other tag teams
Mm-hmm.
on SmackDown. But you're not being able to get that because the tag team titles are all tied to one group that doesn't show up on both shows every week.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that seems to be a problem.
so that's a way you could elevate those two guys that lost tonight right away, right? Give them some kind of a title run and like that. I wouldn't mind seeing it because I think they do well with that. But yeah, that means you have to give them both titles, and I don't know what we're doing with that just yet. But I think eventually they have to
We're
separate
having
them.
a we're having a deunification match. Is that what we're gonna have to have or
I don't
something?
know
Because
something. I mean, because let's be honest, right? I mean, they literally created another world title when they already had two of them. And when they had two of them tied to one guy, and they still made another one, and then they rebranded all the women's titles and turned them into two separate titles. So why can't you do it with? I think we're past that at this point.
Mhm.
All the other titles have been separated or whatever, right? I think it's time to do that with the tag titles, so that way you can have meaningful tag team stories on both shows. They're doing that with Raw, as we've seen, and you can do it here on SmackDown, but you need something for these tag teams to fight for, right? All these tag teams that are on SmackDown aren't fighting for anything right now, or at least you would think that they are, but Judgment Day doesn't show up on both shows every week. It just
Mhm.
and I don't think if the Creed brothers win on Monday, I don't think they're gonna show up on both shows either. I don't know, right? So I think it's about that time to do it, and I think it would help elevate guys like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller right now, so that you don't
Mhm.
have to hold them back and wait for a later time to elevate them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. You got to give them some legitimacy. Give them a title run. Let them feud with somebody for a while, and
yeah,
and
exactly.
and you build Grayson Waller up, and you build up Austin Theory at the same time. I always say I think it's a good idea for for heels to hold the belts for a while until
Hmm.
those faces finally get over that hump and finally take the belts away from
Yeah,
them. So
I'm just
I think that they would do really well in that space.
I'm just glad that just based off of tonight that we can talk really, really high of Grayson Waller and Austin Theory because for a while there,
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know what they're doing with these guys and I don't know where they're going from here. But I think tonight it elevated them and hopefully they do something with it. Even in losses, like I feel like that was the theme of tonight, right? Like everybody that lost didn't necessarily take a big hit in their losses. Like they were
Hmm.
meaningful losses, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
good
it's
stuff.
not
Good,
about if you
good
lost.
stuff
It's
there. It's
about
about how
how you lost
it's about how
probably too, right?
about how you got there and how it looked. And so I don't think any of these. I don't think both of those guys looked like they get hurt by those losses. I think they'll be just fine.
Mm-mm.
So then we get
No.
into the other big story of the show. I guess if you want to call it one of the other stories, it's the biggest women's story on SmackDown at least. Um, we do start off with the news that Charlotte Flair did legitimately get hurt, and I think they said she's going to be out for up to 9 months. Did I hear that right?
I believe so. Man, we got like four promos in a row right there
Yeah,
at that spot
that
that you're
was
at.
that was that one, and then we got the and then with that one, the news of that led into the Damage Control promo, the backstage promo, where it was pretty much a hype up reel, and letting us know that for right now, everything's good in Damage Control.
Well,
Nothing's.
we got the Roman promo with Jimmy, the no yeet.
Oh yeah, the no yeet
We
one.
got
That
Karrion
was funny.
Cross, who had like a random
Oh
promo,
yeah, I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about that one for a minute
and then
after this one,
and then
because
KO and
I
Carmelo backstage.
got some opinions on that. But yeah, but definitely wanted to get into, because that was the most important one I felt like, because I mean the Roman one was funny, like that was just funny in itself, and it does set up for the third backstage Bloodline promo later. But yeah, the Roman and Jimmy with the still trying to say yeet and getting the no yeet. That's always funny.
The no yeet, yeah.
Telling Jimmy that, well, promotions can happen at any time. You just got to make it happen tonight. Okay, but the Damage Control one, definitely a hype up reel for them. There's no problems in Damage Control right now. I guess everything's good ever since last week happened. So it's like I told you, they're going to spread this out a little bit. They're going to continue to let this
Well,
to grow this wherever they're going to go with it. But
I
now,
really think
but
that this happened though for because of Charlotte. I really think that Charlotte's injury changed
yeah,
the landscape, changed the plan, and I think this is why you're seeing what you're seeing. They completely walked away from
for
breaking them up.
for now, for now.
Hmm.
And but yeah, you can basically get a full on hype up reel for the, hyping up the Damage Control. They're back on the same page. They're good to go. And Big Booty Bailey comes out with her direction for what's gonna happen next, declaring for the Royal Rumble herself, saying that she'll
Hmm.
win the Royal Rumble and she'll challenge Rhea to get the other world title on in Damage Control. And what I found intriguing was she said that the Kabuki Warriors are going to go after the tag team titles. And when
Hmm.
I heard that, that actually made me pop a little bit, because we've been talking about how can you make these tag team titles matter on the women's side, because they don't fucking
That's how
matter
you
right
do it.
now. And that's exactly how you do it. You put it on two of the biggest, two of the what I would consider two of the bigger women's stars, and they're a tag team, right? They've been before, and I think you put the titles on them. I think that's a good way to elevate them. So I popped on that. I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And I think whenever they do get that title shot, I think it's an instant win. I don't think they're losing. So then you get, but yeah, pretty much just a
Hmm.
hype up reel for Damage Control. Nothing's happening with them there. I do think you're right. You're onto something, that because of the Charlotte Flair injury, maybe they are having to stretch this out a little bit more. I do think the eventual plan is still to break up the group at some point and Bailey be the odd man out there. But I think you prolong it now because you kind of have to, because
Hmm.
your cast of characters kind of, is -1, so you have to stretch it out a little bit. And I think you get into the Rumble and then you figure things out after the Rumble. But I think all of a sudden Bailey all of a sudden becomes a favorite to win the Rumble on the women's side, just on what you could do with that story. So interesting.
Hmm.
A lot of interesting things that's why I wanted to definitely point out that promo out of all the other ones, because that one has set up some things for the future just in that one promo. Like two different things got set up for the future in that one promo. I thought that was pretty good. And
Hmm.
I like the setup, the camera angles, the video, the way they packaged it. It was kind of an old school kind of looking backstage promo, if that makes sense. Like a lot of video.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't just them talking like to a reporter or whatever with the mic like that. In the backstage, like they actually gave them a full on cinematic kind of thing. I thought that was
Yeah, they're producing
kind of
all
cool
these
about that.
promos now. I mean, everybody
And
got
so,
a really high
and,
Karrion Cross did too, right?
so
So
speaking of produced promos, we did get the Karrion Cross promo, which is interesting, just based on the fact that
I just threw it in
I
there.
feel like this promo would have hit bigger had I not just seen the dude lose his ass last week. Like, he literally lost his ass last week
Mm-hmm.
after not seeing him for months. And he comes
But it was a
out
good match,
and
though.
immediately loses. Well, I mean, but he lost, right? He still loses his
Mm-hmm.
ass. He still looks weak in the end because he loses,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now he comes back and things are changing. Things are being like this. I feel is they should have kept him off TV last week. Give Bobby somebody else. And this is your first reintroduction to Karrion Kross after months of being gone that you should have got. I think it personally, because it wasn't a terrible like vignette, but I couldn't take it seriously based on what I saw last week. Like, I literally just saw you lose. Like, you're a loser, dude. Like, I just saw you fucking lose last week, and now you're gonna tell me you're this fucking big Billy badass dark guy, but you just fucking lost last week, bro. Like, I don't like.
I wrote down Karrion Kross promo. Karrion Kross promo. I guess that's all I put.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like I said,
It didn't make any sense to me.
I think it would have hit bigger if this was your first reintroduction into him after him being gone for months. But like, literally just came back last week. So, but whatever, we got it, and that's.
I really liked what I saw from him when he wrestled Bobby Lashley. This is the guy that needed the win, right? Because other guys like Jimmy Uso, these guys Austin Theory, they can lose because they've already arrived. They've already made it. Karrion Kross is still trying to find his way into the show, and you got to give him some legitimacy by giving him some wins, and it's just not going to happen right now. So I don't know that he makes his way into a 2-hour show on SmackDown. It almost seems like he needs to get his ass over on Raw, and maybe he can get somewhere in the second hour or something, because right now it just doesn't feel like there's space for him, especially with AJ Styles coming back, Randy Orton coming back. Like, you're not going to get no fucking time right now. Like, you got the Kabuki Warriors that we need to probably see.
But
you got lots of things that are exciting. Damage Control, Bailey. And so you're not probably going to get a lot of Karrion Kross. You get the tournament going still.
So then I know that Triple H loves this guy. It's one of Triple H's guys. You know, that's why he brought him back in the first place last year. One of the first guys that he brought back from those major talent releases, of early on in the year last year, and then brought him back. He just really, really loves this guy. He was his guy in NXT. He was one of his guys in NXT, and he really, really loves this guy, and he's really trying really hard to make this guy work in one way or another. I'm not saying the promo was like bad or anything. I'm saying, man, this just would have been a lot better had I just not seen him last week. But I don't know. I guess we'll see what kind of story they tell. But you're also right in the form of, well, he's one of those guys that could get lost in the shuffle just based on the guys that you already have. Where do you put him? What kind of program do you set him up in when you bring him back? But maybe that's what these vignettes are about. There were some words that were flashed at the end of that promo, and I weren't able to read them quick enough. So I don't know if those mean anything. This one kind of had one of those like Bray Wyatt vibe kind of vignettes, but I don't know if this is gonna lead into to a bigger thing, or if this is just a incarnation of Karrion Kross, because the old Karrion Kross wasn't working. I don't know, but he's got the look, and
he's a really great wrestler too, because I love that match with Bobby Lashley.
He's a good guy. He's a good wrestler. He's a good, the character can work. It's just a matter of what they're gonna do with it. So I guess it was a reintroduction into him, and so we'll see where they continue to go with these little vignettes if they decide to do more before they put him back on screen in the ring again. So
they better give his ass a match, because they're just giving him a random promo
in the middle of the show. And so after that we get into the fourth match, the third match of the night, which is the Kabuki Warriors versus Selena Vega and Michin. And this was the only women's match of the night. And it was a decent tag team match. I think this was more reintroducing you to the Kabuki Warriors. Of course, if you want to know what the story is behind this, obviously These are scorned. These are scorned superstars of Damage Control Rampage and whatnot. And so that's pretty much what this setup this match was. But it was just more of a reintroduction into the Kabuki Warriors, and they both looked really good. Asuka looked good as usual. Kyrie looked good as usual.
Oh yeah.
Even to a smaller extent, Selena Vega gets her stuff in and looks decent enough. Michin doesn't really do it for me. She's trying, and I can tell that she is, but like her stuff doesn't hit well. It's very slow. It's very clunky. That word clunky we like to use. It was very, very evident in her set. I don't know if she's not moving fast enough, or if she's not getting the move across fast enough to make it look, but it just looks really slow. It doesn't look good.
That it's a hodgepodge tag team. Didn't make any damn sense anyway. So
Well, like I said, the story was just these are two people that have been burned by Damage Control. That was the whole reasoning for them to tag. But the Kabuki Warriors win with Damage Control interference from Dakota Kai and Bailey, which then sets up the best elbow drop in the business.
oh man, that's a beautiful elbow drop. It is completely horizontal.
It's a really, really good elbow drop. She gets so much air on it, and then the way she lands is so good. And then the Kabuki Warriors win. So hopefully that'll start their tag team run, and hopefully we'll get the tag team belts. I mean, I don't think you can get the tag team belts on them soon enough. Because they're
the Warriors, man. They are head and shoulders above the competition right now.
For real.
It's not even close.
No, not even close. And I think if you get the belts on those two characters, then those belts matter again. And then maybe that's how you can help rebuild that division a little bit. But that's your damage control match.
Yeah.
You get, they're back together. Everything's all hunky dory in the damage control for right now. That's also setting up the match for next week, which is going to be what was it called? Holiday Havoc, eight women tag team match.
Eight women
tag team match. All of Damage Control versus all the baby faces. All the babyface women left on the roster. On the
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I heard on Raw, I think last week, that was it Katana Chance? Is she the shortest woman on the roster, or is it Zelina Vega? Because my goodness, I swear, every time I see Zelina, she gets shorter and shorter. I think she is the EST of height, right? The shortest in the business. Cause my goodness, she is an Oompa Loompa, man. She's
one of the
tiniest little thing. So I don't know. I mean, is she actually shorter than Kaden? Katana Chance?
I think so, because Zelina Vega's small, dude. Like, she's really, really small.
Now,
and she's tiny.
Now I got a pitch here, right? Because I think both of us kind of agree we don't really like this Meech and Zelina kind of tag team, right? And the LWO is kind of in like a really weird spot. Now I have a really weird pitch, but I thought about this and I was like, man, this might actually work. You got Raquel, right? Raquel Rodriguez out there, who's this super big, muscular, tall Hispanic woman, and you got little Zelina Vega there, and you might have a tag team in the making, an LWO tag team. If Raquel, she's kind of just in the weeds right now. If she were to make her way over to the LWO represent, she's already kind of doing that in just her own way. I would be really interested to see a Zelina Vega Raquel team, because it's like the tallest with the shortest girl. And see what they can do together. Like, I think it would be kind of interesting. Like a legitimate women's tag team.
Well, you also have the Latina connection there, so that would be kind of cool to play on that a little bit. Raquel already you saw a little bit of that when their tag team with Liv Morgan, the big and small tag team a little bit. So Raquel's made it work in the past. I think you can make it work again here. But yeah,
dude.
But I think it starts with the Kabuki Warriors. I think you got to get the belts on them, and then you start getting some legitimate contenders there, and you know, because right now the belts don't matter. They really don't. They're the stinkiest part of the product right now. I mean, it really is.
So Bleacher Report just reported, like, I think an hour ago that Liv Morgan was arrested.
We're gonna talk about this on an air. Okay. I wasn't gonna mention it because we're doing a SmackDown review, but
that's hilarious. We just got to talk about it because I mean, my good. I mean, popped up. You threw her name out first, sir. So
I was trying to bring up. I was hoping it wouldn't lead to that, but okay, that's fine. We can talk about it. It is news.
I mean, it's relevant. It's today.
It is breaking. It is breaking news. So for those of you that don't know, if you're not on Twitter, which I don't know, most of us are, but X. Or X, whatever you want to call it. And you know what? You can still go to twitter.com. That's the URL. So it's Twitter still.
Yeah. Formerly known as Twitter. That's what it says officially.
But evidently Liv Morgan was arrested and booked, and she's already bonded out. And here's the part that it's like it's not that big of a deal because she just got caught with some marijuana. That's it, you know.
Some MJ.
And it's not like it's just funny. It really, that's all it is. You get her mugshot got released really, really quick, and I'm sure for her it's probably a little bit of embarrassing, but it happens. And at this point, I don't even know why we're still arresting people for marijuana possession.
Oh God!
I mean, like that's a whole nother story for another day. But
states have their rules. I have a bigger question, more important question, which is how does WWE take this, because they do have a substance abuse policy, and so what is the fallout from that?
Yes, they do, but they also do not punish for marijuana testing anymore. That's already like they stopped doing that. I think 2 or 3 years ago, where they stopped. Like it wasn't part of their discipline anymore for marijuana, for testing positive for marijuana use. And I think that's mostly because there's a large amount of states in this country that already legalize it. And if they haven't legalized it, they've definitely decriminalized it in a lot of states where half the time you won't even get arrested for it. And it's just not that big of a deal. Like it's not a substance. Like it doesn't count. It's not cocaine. It's not cocaine. It's not growth enhancers. It's not. It's just a downer. You know, it's a plant. Now it's a psychedelic plant, but it's a plant. But either way, like WWE has, they don't reprimand for marijuana use anymore, because if they did, they would have probably fired Matt Riddle a long time ago. And Randy Orton probably would have also been suspended a few times. So,
well, Matt was suspended a bunch of times for substance abuse. So,
well, I think it's because that wasn't marijuana. I think there was some other things he was doing there.
But, my goodness!
But no, yeah, they don't do that anymore. So I don't think she gets any. I don't think they do anything with her there, unless like she was under the influence of it and like she got into an accident and hurt somebody or something like that, then I think you have to step in. But in this case,
all's well.
I don't think they're gonna do anything with it.
All's well that ends well.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. How they didn't really do anything when Jimmy got a DUI for being drunk, and getting pulled over like 2 or 3 times. Like they didn't suspend him. They didn't, I mean, literally, he was back. He was back on the show the next week. Like so, I don't think it's anything that major, So yeah, I don't think they do anything with that. But just
hopefully we'll see Liv Morgan back on TV soon.
Well, I know she's injured too, and she's working her way back, so she's already like off TV anyways. But yeah, it was just kind of
boot on her ass and get her in like Dakota Kai.
But it was just kind of funny to see that story, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, whoops.
Dakota Kai is the
They're like,
only injured
whoopsie.
wrestler I know that's like no days off. Get your butt mass up
Nah,
there, and
it's
she's there with her boot. Like I'm
she's
like,
there with her,
damn man,
she's there
she's
with her knee brace and still can't do like physical activity just yet.
she's the only one
so
that doesn't get any gold.
that
That didn't have no plans for gold.
so then perfect segue into the last parts of the show. We have Jimmy. We have Jimmy Uso. Speaking of DUIs, we have sorry Jimmy, I love you, but we
How's
have
he doing, like-
we have our third backstage bloodline segment, which is Jimmy talking to Solo 1-on-1, and Jimmy is extremely concerned about what's happening and is worried that this could be a setup for him, and he could be getting set up here, which could be happening. You don't know, right? How does Roman really feel about Jimmy at this point? And is asking Solo 1-on-1 by themselves, like, you would tell me if something was up, right? Solo doesn't necessarily answer the question other than just saying, I'm your brother. Or you're my brother. One of those two, right? You say you're my brother or I'm your brother, one of the two.
I think he said, "I'm your brother,"
and that's all you get. You don't get maybe that's all the answer Jimmy needs. I don't know. What does that really mean at this point, right? Maybe.
Nothing. Doesn't mean nothing.
So that was kind of an interesting backstage.
That segment didn't mean nothing either.
Not tonight. It didn't, but I don't know if it will in the future or what as we continue this new wrinkle into the bloodline with Solo being the heir apparent, and we'll see where they go with that. And then of course we get we got the second rounds coming up here. The semis are going to start next week for the U.S. title tournament. We have Bobby on one side. We have the two guys that won tonight. We have Kevin Owens and Carmelo Hayes. And then on the other side, we got Bobby Lashley versus Santos Escobar. And they both got an opportunity to have little promos. Santos got a full-on produced promo for him, and Bobby got a backstage live segment with the Street Profits for his. And I thought those were two pretty good promos to get them set up for their match next week. Early predictions on who wins those two matches?
Well, Bobby's gonna win that one. Pretty obvious. I think that one's pretty obvious. I thought that the Santos was good. I thought Bobby's promo was weak, and he's always kind of just he's always just, it's just not his forte, man. He gets in the ring, kicks ass, but his promo is just delivered a little weak. So it wasn't super exciting. But Santos gets a produced promo. So another produced promo, which is, the full shebang. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Bobby's gonna win that. I don't see him losing right now. But it wouldn't surprise me though if the heel pulls this off, and then we have, Santos versus Kevin Owens as the final. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
Right now, at this point, Santos needs to win more than Bobby does. He just does. Bobby's legitimate forever. Nobody's ever gonna take that away from him. But he also is mentoring the Street Profits, and probably isn't gonna look good if he loses in front of them. And everybody loves him right now. Everybody loves him. So I don't really see that. WWE trusts him. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Oh yeah, anything can happen in WWE. That's the old saying. But I do think that this next week could be another kind of way where the guys, there's got to be a winner and a loser, right? But you can still make the losers look really good and not derail their pushes or anything like that. I think you have another opportunity to do that in both of those matches next week, because I do think that Kevin Owens wins. I think he's destined to win this tournament, and I think Bobby wins, and I think you could still make Carmelo look good, and you can still make Santos look good in those two matches, even though they might lose it. I don't know. There hasn't been any shenanigans in these tournament matches, so maybe we're due for that next week. I don't know.
Anything could happen.
This is another week where, I mean, it just depends, I guess, on where they're going with Santos, because are they still going to continue the LWO thing, or is that dead? There was no. I mean, he wasn't even on the show tonight, other than that promo. So are they going to continue that next week? Does maybe Carlito or somebody cost him the match next week or something? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But those matches are set for next week. And then also next week we did find out that Dragon Lee will be defending his newly won North American Championship against Butch. another person that I don't know. Well, now it is random, but it goes back to the thing we were talking about a little bit. That now I know Butch isn't necessarily a lucha guy, but he's a small guy that has that fits into that skill set. And I think if you have that kind of a match on the show, it's going to be a good match to watch. Just two guys that could probably put on a banger of a match. So we'll see how it goes.
Is this show going to be on SmackDown?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Why are we showcasing the NXT title on SmackDown?
Because the SmackDown guy has the title. It was the same thing when Dominic had the title. You would showcase it on Raw. I mean, what's the difference?
But Dominic defended the title on NXT.
I'm sure he'll defend the title on NXT too.
Is this the first time that this title is going to be defended on a different show? I guess that's kind of what I'm wondering.
No, I want to say that Dominic did defend it once on Raw. I can't remember against who, but I want to say he did. And then now I don't know if this title's ever been defended on SmackDown, so that'll be kind of new. But it goes back to that integration of main roster and NXT kind of stuff, just to kind of get the eyeballs on the NXT side a little bit more. It's nice. He'll obviously defend it more on NXT, but I think it's good to showcase, and it's because you don't want to necessarily lose Dragon Lee back to NXT. Like, you still want to showcase him as a main roster star. So that's how you do it. So, I mean, it'll probably be early on in the card next week, but they definitely showcased it to let you know it's happening next week. So, and I don't have any doubt that those two guys will put on a good match. So, I'm looking forward to that to see. Next week should be an interesting show. No, I don't know if Roman Reigns will be back next week. He wasn't announced, so I don't know if this was one of his showings and then he won't be back till next year. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this show. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it flew by really quick. As much as we had to talk about, it felt like those. I mean, even when I went back and watched it, it still felt like this. Like, and I guess it was a good thing because everything kept my eyes on the screen. I didn't feel like I could take my eyes off of the screen. There wasn't any lulls in this show. I felt like I was from start to finish, I had to keep my eyes on the screen. No bathroom breaks on this one. And so overall, I give the show a solid A. I think it deserves it. It was a good show. Promos were good. In-ring and stuff was really good. So yeah, A show for me. AJ Styles is back. A for AJ.
Wow, A for AJ. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, the streak is over. The streak is finally over for SmackDown's mediocre shit shows that they've been. So it is 100% an A show tonight. Hey. All the way around. Absolutely every segment was B plus, B-ish, or in the A category, right? All night long. I think mostly, I mean, that's what happens, though, when you get the Tribal Chief back on his show. So, you bring the Tribal Chief back, and all of a sudden you got an A show again. So everything he touches turns to gold. We talk about who's the biggest draw. I think it is always going to be the Tribal Chief. So, you got your amazing show. You got your returning superstars. You got no stinkers of the women's matches. The women's matches was really good tonight. All the segments are good. The promos were produced.
Oh, yeah.
Great show. Action-packed. 2 hours, but it felt longer. Really good show. It's an A. Oh God, we're produced now too, guys. So
that deserves an air horn, because yeah, they definitely ended the streak of being kind of a mid show as we've been rating it. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago we were bored. I was bored of that SmackDown. I was like, good lord. But this one was like, oh man, hype. And it just goes to show when everybody is on the show that should be there, it matters big time.
Hmm.
It just elevates everything. But hopefully, as we knock on wood, everyone continues to stay healthy here. We don't have any more injuries that could derail anything here. But right now we're getting itching closer and closer to Rumble season, and the show is getting both shows now are getting really really hot. So it's exciting time to be a part of this. But let us know what you thought in the comments, guys. What you thought of the show, and remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for all the other videos so you get the notifications for when all the other videos come out. But thanks for the support, guys. It's been fun. It was fun doing this one tonight. I actually enjoyed it. Actually enjoyed reviewing this episode of SmackDown.
First cool Friday Night Smackdown.
For real. So the best one we got, and hopefully more to come. But yeah, Tribal Chief's back. AJ Styles is back. What a great night, guys. But until then, he's the Tribal Cheese. I'm the Mean Bean Johnny T, and we will see you guys next time.